This is a download from the BBC. For more information on our terms of use, please go to bbcworldservice.com/podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Africa Now, a play about Botswana's first president, Seretse Khama, whose marriage to Ruth Williams, a white English woman, while he was still a student, caused a political storm in Britain and Africa, has just been performed in New York. At the time of the marriage, both Britain and South Africa exerted pressure to have Seretse Khama's tribal titles removed, and they eventually managed to do so. But when Botswana gained independence in 1966, he became the new country's president and she the first lady. The BBC's Leslie Goffe went along to see the play, Blue, Black and White, and to talk to its writer and star, Botswana's Donald Molosi, about this and his other work.
I grew up hearing of Seretse in sort of stories and things like that, but I never really learned about him in a textbook at school. And I'm hoping that my performance will take him out of obscurity in some little way, because he's not celebrated enough, I think, in my own country.
Now, we know him obviously as a great statesman, but you're looking into the complex struggle he had, that struggle about his personal life and his public duties and his public responsibilities. He married an English woman, a white woman, and people back home resisted.
I have been told that my marriage is contrary to native custom, but I can prove that it is not. All I ask is that you accept her as my wife.
He almost had his country turned against him by this controversial marriage. And people back home resisted mainly because of the neighbors that we have. Zimbabwe at the time and South Africa at the time were both racist regimes, really. And that's what I'm interested in exploring, how he won them over.
What will the people have me do? What will the Bangwato have me do? You all said you do not want the woman. You do not want the woman. I have told you before, I cannot leave her. I cannot leave her. I cannot!
Now, we're here at the United Solo Festival, where you have presented this one-man show, Seretse Khama. But this is not your first one-man show. Let's talk briefly about the piece you did on the former child soldier from Uganda.
Actually, when I was in Uganda 2 years ago in Kampala, I met with several former child soldiers. I found their stories very moving, because things that go on in the lives of child soldiers still, we mostly have no idea about them. And that's why I wrote that piece called No Idea.
It was very difficult for me to watch my own country fighting against itself. God for us all. You have no idea.
Finally, let's turn to this one-man show, the Philly Lataya piece. Afro-pop legend, he contracts AIDS. At the end of his days, becomes an activist. What drew you to the Philly Lataya story?
The fact that he turned his art towards activism to save his own people really appealed to me, and he was the biggest star in East Africa, and that is when he contracted HIV/AIDS. And by the end of it, he has saved so many people in his publicly talking about his HIV status. He didn't wait for some Western messiah to come in and rescue the people. He himself took it upon himself to be useful.
What's your next production? What can we expect next from Donald Molosi?
I'm working on 3 new productions at the moment. One is about Nehanda. It's a Zimbabwean story. And it's about this medium who used spirits to counter colonialism in Zimbabwe. The other story that I'm working on is on Wangari Maathai, the Nobel Prize laureate, who just passed away. And then the third story is on the so-called Hottentot Venus, Sarki Bartman.
These are powerful African stories that you're excavating and looking into.
Yes, and I feel like my chronically colonized curriculum really failed me, and that's why I'm trying to reclaim some of these stories and tell them.
Their voices crying out from the wilderness, we are crying out to the leaders of...
And that's a report by Leslie Goffe, and before that you had Botswana's Donald Molosi. And that's it for today. Thank you for downloading the Africa Today podcast from the BBC, recorded weekdays at 15:30 GMT. I'm Sophie Ikenye. Until next time, goodbye.